Please give a round of applause to Troy Fott for the performance. And before I just give a little bit about the organization, I want to acknowledge that we have our ASL interpreter, Renee Ithier. So thank you, Renee. So Troy Fott is a community-based group in Manhattan, Chinatown, founded in 1968. The club has served as a safe harbor for Chinatown youth while carrying out the club's mission of Kung Fu style of Troy Fott. New York Troy Fott currently has over 80 active members and performs for people all across the tri-state area. So thank you again. My name is Vic Lee, and I'm one of the MCs for today. I'm the district leader of 65D.
And hello everyone, my name is Jonathan Gardenhire. I am the other MC, and I'm the district leader for the 65th Assembly District Part B. Hadrian Kumans is the co-director and co-founder of the Lenape Center, and he was invited to do a land acknowledgement but couldn't make it, so I'm going to do it. We acknowledge that we gather on the traditional land of the Lenape peoples, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people who have stewarded it through generations. Thank you.
Great, thanks Jonathan for the land acknowledgement. So we have a beautiful program today to celebrate our fierce elected leader, Grace Lee. I'm so thrilled to be able to co-host this program with Jonathan, and you're in for a lot of wonderful programming and special surprises. So to kick things off, I'd really like to begin with, we're going to begin by asking everyone to please stand for our national anthem and Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by 10 citizens of Henry Street Settlement's Boys and Girls Republic After School program, or BGR as it's known in the community. Serving more than 150 students a year, BGR is a comprehensive co-ed youth program addressing each child's academic achievement, social development, and emotional well-being. BGR's signature self-government model encourages young people to take an active role in shaping their society and becoming responsible citizens.
And our national anthem will be performed by Jewel Davis. Ms. Davis is a lifelong Henry Street youth who has always had a passion for the arts, especially singing. She has showcased her talent as a cast member in Henry Street's holiday show, Dick Rivington and His Cat, attended Buck Rock's Performing Arts Camp as a Henry Streeter, and is presently attending LaGuardia High School for the Performing Arts, where she is a vocal major. So please welcome them on stage.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ann Sarah Munoz, and these young people are some of our elected officials from our self-government program at Henry Street Settlement's Boys and Girls Republic. As leaders of tomorrow, we're grateful to be here in support of one of our leaders of today, Assemblymember Grace Lee, who will now lead us through our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, LaGuardia!
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight of the red
Please be seated. Thank you, Ms. Davis. That was beautiful. Next, we'll welcome Pastor Lowe of Kaleidoscope Ministries for a prayer.
I want to invite you to bow your heads with me as we pray for the ceremony and for grace. Our Heavenly Father, I pray a blessing over the ceremony today. You are a God of blessing, you are a God of grace, and you are a God of love. And I pray this blessing over Grace as she steps into this important role as Assembly member. God, I want to lift up the issues that she's passionate about, the ones that she's already fought for. As a resident of Chinatown and Lower East Side myself, I lift up her work in the housing community, working against housing displacement of low-income families. I lift up her work in fighting for affordable health care for those impacted disproportionately. I pray, God, for her own health and her own safety, even as she advocates for the health and safety of others. I believe Jesus reached across barriers and differences, God. And so I pray that Grace would have that same initiative in working to advocate not just for those who might be seen as her own people, but for other racial and cultural and socioeconomic backgrounds. I also believe that Jesus also blessed his enemies. And so I pray, God, that Grace would be able to work with those who would reject her and seek the good of those who oppose her, as hard as that might be sometimes. And finally, I believe that Jesus was a personal God to us with his presence. And I pray today that Grace would demonstrate that same personal presence to every community that she works with, every community that she meets. May she not just fight for them in word, but also in the way that she walks alongside them and gets to know them and understands their stories. And with that, I'm also personally thankful, and I want to lift up this word of gratitude for her work in something near and dear to my own heart, which is the advocating for the safety, mental health, and protection of LGBT youth who have gone through bullying, mistreatment, and trauma in their lives. Thank you for her work in that aspect as well. You are a God who saves, and I pray, God, that you would demonstrate that today. In your Son's most precious name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Lowe. Next, we would like to welcome Rabbi Ginsburg of MTJ Yeshiva for a blessing.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, you all gathered here today to witness and participate in this wonderful occasion of the inauguration of Grace Lee to the New York State Assembly. We ask you to guide her and bless her as she accepts this awesome responsibility. Bless her and her fellow members to inspire them to faithfully keep your word when you write in Exodus that these are the laws I should place in front of you. The laws that this awesome assembly eventually passes should be just and fair for the benefit of this entire state of New York State. Bless her and her entire fellow members of the assembly as they embark on this journey. Let us say amen.
Hi again. It is my esteemed pleasure to welcome New York State Attorney General Tish James.
Good afternoon, everyone. So a number of us just came from a St. Patrick's March for All in Queens as we celebrated an inclusive community and we celebrated the LGBTQI community. And today, as most of you know, in Selma, Alabama, they are marching for the rights of individuals, commemorating the march over the Edmund Pettus Bridge, both fighting for their rights as we continue to fight for our rights. And then today, all over our country, women are standing up and fighting for their reproductive rights as we await a decision from the Texas court. All of this, obviously, is consistent with the fact that we are here today to celebrate this fabulous and this fierce Asian woman. We've come together because we are all in this together. We are all one. We are all part of one human family, consistent with the prayer that was just given. Today really is a great day for Chinatown, for the Lower East Side, and for all of New York City. Today is a day of joy and pride for many of us, and for the vast and vibrant communities that we serve. Today we celebrate a leader who represents the best of our communities. And I am so honored to be here today as we inaugurate Grace Lee, and she truly is a graceful woman, into the New York State Assembly. You can clap for that. Oh, you can do better than that. Clap it up. And by the way, did you see the two lions kissing? Yes. I want to thank all of my colleagues in government for joining us today for this event, for this celebration, and most of all, I want to thank Assemblymember Lee and her family and her husband Kim and their 3 daughters. Girl power! Woo! To your husband, Kim, being in a house with 4 women, I pray for you. Now, I've been in government for some time now, and I know what makes a good leader and an advocate. One of the key elements of being a good leader is the ability to connect with people and to have empathy and to recognize the challenges and the thoughts and the needs of your community. And always being humble and walking with individuals and not to get caught up in titles. And remember what God has given to you through the people, He can take it away just like that. So it's important that we understand that. Grace is a dedicated and a tenacious advocate. She's fought to keep children safe from toxins through her work as a co-founder of Children First. Yes, yes, because she cares about the environment. She's personally donated and delivered food to residents of public housing throughout the pandemic. A round of applause for that. She's been at the forefront of community advocacy and fighting for the well-being of our constituents, her constituents, because she thinks of others before she thinks about herself. And as a longtime Lower Manhattan resident, Grace understands this community and its concerns. And you can say, and the fact that individuals, you gotta look at where individuals hold their inauguration. It says a lot about who they are and their values. The fact that Grace is holding her inauguration in a public school says a lot about who she is as a public figure. So it is fitting that her campaign win is a testament to the confidence that all of you have in her ability to represent and to lead this district forward. In her new role, Grace continues to put her community first, and she has continued to make combating hate crimes a priority. And as an African-American woman, I stand with her against hate in this community and all throughout the state of New York. Let the message go out and let it be clear that this Attorney General will not tolerate hate against the Asian community, not now, not ever. I look forward to working with Grace on that initiative to ensure that everyone is safe and everyone is protected and no one is in harm's way. So I want to congratulate the constituents, the voters of District 65. You have chosen wisely. You have chosen well. And on behalf of the people of the state of New York, I want to personally congratulate my very good friend, my dear friend, Assemblymember Lee. And let me just say this. She has a beautiful family. She's got a very handsome husband. And look, the little girl laughing, and the 3 lovely daughters. When you see them out there, and Brad Lander, our controller, always teases me, but I've got to tell you, when you see the family out there having family days, or when she has a date night, please don't approach them with your selfies and your cameras. Leave her alone with her husband and her children. Let her have some me time, some personal time, so that she can come back and fight for all of you. You promised me that. Keep her safe. Make sure you look at her. And when you see her, congratulate her on her successes. Don't always complain. Wait to hold the fact that you've got a pothole on your street to another day, please. She's a wonderful woman, a great elected official with a wonderful family and a great constituency that has elevated her, and we celebrate her today. Assemblywoman Grace Lee.
Thanks. Wow, that was great. Our next speaker is Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine.
Give it up for our 2 MCs, District Leader Jonathan Gardenhire, District Leader Vic Lee. They're amazing. I love you guys both, but I will never ever forgive you for making me follow Tish James in the speaking order. Oh my God. Absolute cruelty. I'll do my best. Daigaho. Muy buenas tardes a todos y a todos. And to any of you who are observing, Rabbi Ginsburg, Chag Purim Sameach to all of you. The rest of the speech will be in Greek. I'm just kidding. Congratulations, Grace Lee. Wow, give her a big round of applause. Congratulations, Ken. The Attorney General is right. You are very good looking. You really are. And to your amazing, amazing family. Grace Lee has made history. The first Korean American woman elected to the state legislature. Amazing, amazing. Already leading for the AAPI community in so many ways. And it's a lot to say this about someone who's only been in office for 2 months. But Grace Lee is an outstanding elected official. Already outstanding. And that is not a surprise if you were watching her lead before she was in office. So many fights that she waged on behalf of this community. When there was a brownfield contaminated with toxins next to 2 schools, Grace stood up to fight for those kids. It wasn't an easy fight. It wasn't a popular fight. It was the right fight. Thank you, Grace Lee, for leading for our kids. When seniors and NYS residents needed food on Thanksgiving, she partnered with Visión Urbana to deliver food to thousands of families in the district. And that was before she was an elected official. She supported vulnerable tenants, hearing impaired tenants who were being abused by their landlord, and empowered them to fight back before she was an elected official. Applaud for that, absolutely. So it is no surprise that now, as an assembly member, she is standing up yet again, representing the 65th AD, an incredible, vibrant, diverse district with communities ranging from Chinatown to Soho, NYCHA, the Lower East Side. It takes a special leader to connect in every part of a diverse district like this. I've seen Grace in every one of those communities, and she is able to connect to people of all walks of life. That says so much about you, Grace, and your style of leadership. And so I am not surprised to see you are already leading as co-chair of the AAPI task force, fighting to make Lunar New Year a state holiday. Thank you for that. Thank you. I'm not surprised that you're fighting for NYCHA residents. She is leading the statewide campaign to cover the back rent that is over $300 million that tenants who have applied for ERAP who live in NYCHA desperately need. Thank you, Grace, for fighting for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as a trailblazer in her own right, yes, she is standing up to anti-Asian hate, and we support you in that fight. I support you in that fight. I support this community at this difficult moment. We are lucky to have Grace Lee leading for us as our Assembly member. Congratulations, Grace Lee. I wish you all the best. I have your back. Daiga Dolce. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burr, President. I think we could all say we are grateful for Grace. It is my pleasure to welcome our next speaker, New York State Comptroller Thomas DiNapoli.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. It is a packed house. Grace, did you see how many people are here? Turn around and look. Give her a round of applause so she sees how many folks are here. It's an honor to join all of my colleagues in government and certainly all the community leaders and friends of Grace Lee who are here to celebrate the beginning of her tenure representing you in the New York State Assembly. It is great to be here with Grace and her beautiful family. I will not comment on her husband's looks because others have done it, and he'll get a swelled head, and it'll be impossible for Grace to live with him anymore. But it is a beautiful family. Give the entire family a round of applause for being here and supporting her. You know, Grace has already been on the job, and I've gotten to know her a bit. We didn't know each other well before she was elected, but we've had a number of opportunities to speak at other colleagues' swearings in, at other events, in the lobby of the Hilton in Albany. And I can tell you this is an Assembly member who is already laser focused on the issues of concern to the communities that she represents. That's no surprise, given as our Attorney General and our Borough President said, Grace is someone who's been so involved on so many key issues in Lower Manhattan for a very, very long time. She's already someone who's made an incredible difference. And now to be elected as a member of the State Assembly, she's going to be in an even more powerful position to deliver for your community. The thing to keep in mind, though, is that Albany is not always an easy place. And she's going to fight hard for you. She may not be able to deliver everything that she's going to want to deliver, but give her time, give her support no matter what. Make sure you've got her back, right? You're always going to have Grace Lee's back when she's working for you in Albany. She's off to a good start. She's already got Speaker Hasty here, so that's a good sign that she's in a good position already. You know, she's representing some of the most historic and iconic neighborhoods in our city, in our state, and our nation. And I'm very privileged that my office in New York City is located in Lower Manhattan. So I've certainly seen the challenges firsthand. You go back to after 9/11, a lot of folks thought Lower Manhattan would never come back. Came back stronger than ever. Changed in many ways, much more of a residential community with all the issues that would follow with that. And Grace has been on the forefront of fighting for a better environment, a healthier environment, for more housing for people. And then you fast forward to the COVID experience. Every community was hit hard, but Lower Manhattan, Chinatown, with tourism being off, how so many of those businesses were hurt and are still hurting. And that's where Grace's background as a small business owner is really going to be very important and very impactful in her assembly work. And certainly when we talk about New York being the gateway for immigrants, for all of our families that have come through here, Grace's experience as an immigrant and that unique experience now being, as has been said, and deserves to be acknowledged again, the first Korean American woman elected to the legislature. Very impressive right there. At a time that we see so many challenges and so much anti-Asian hate, Grace, you're going to be there to be the answer and the antidote to that terrible scourge that seems to be happening in so many of our communities. So just know you have partners. You obviously have a lot of partners back home, but certainly anything we can do in the State Controller's Office to support you, make you be successful in your tenure, we are there to stand with you. It's been a long time since I had my swearing into the State Assembly for the first time, and I know it's a special moment, and I know that whatever challenges you face during your tenure, you're going to remember this day. You're going to remember all these wonderful people who came out to support you. You are off to an incredible beginning. I know you're going to have a successful and very impactful career as a member of the New York State Assembly. Congratulations, Grace Lee. All the best.
Thanks so much. Our next esteemed speaker is Congressmember Jerry Nadler.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm honored to be here today as we celebrate the inauguration of Assemblymember Grace Lee. As some of you may know, I now represent Manhattan above 14th Street and below 96th Street from river to river. While Grace and I don't currently serve overlapping districts, I've had the pleasure of working alongside her for years as she advocated for Lower Manhattan. Grace's tenacity and commitment to her community is perhaps best exemplified in her years-long fight at 250 Water Street. Grace, along with other concerned parents, demanded that any remediation plan by the city would adequately protect children and residents from potential exposure to harmful toxins and other contaminants. Her hard work and dedication in this fight, and so many others, proves that she's a champion for the families in this district. Before being elected to Congress, I hate to admit it, 30 years ago, I served in the New York State Assembly for 16 years. In my time there, I learned what it takes to be a successful legislator and advocate for your district. You must be able to navigate the complexities of politics in the Capitol. You must be well-versed on the issues that affect your community and the state. And most importantly, you must stay connected to your constituents and serve them with honesty and dedication. I have no doubt that Grace will exhibit all these qualities and more as she begins her tenure in Albany. I look forward to cheering Grace on for years to come. Who knows, maybe we'll share constituents in the next redistricting. So I wish Grace Godspeed. I'm sure she will serve all of you well. I wish you Godspeed, and thank you very much.
We now want to bring the dancers from DeReal Initiative to the stage. DeReal Initiative is a multidisciplinary arts education organization committed to collaborating with young citizen artists to transform social justice issues through collective sharing of their authentic stories and artistic compositions. DeReal's vision is to uplift and provide a platform for underestimated and overlooked communities who are too often forgotten to challenge the status quo and systemic oppression we all face in our personal and professional lives. So please welcome the dancers from DeReal.
Can then separate the dust? What later shall we be? Whose keen discerning eye will scan and solve the mystery? The high, the low, the rich, the poor, the black, the white, the red, and all the chromatic in between. Of whom shall it be said? Here lies the dust of Africa. Here are the sons of Rome. Here lies one unlabeled, the world at large, his home. Who can then separate the dust? Will mankind lie apart? Will life resettle back again, the same as from the start?
I was young.
When I was given my first command, I led my men into a massacre, witnessed their deaths firsthand. Oh, I made every mistake, I felt the shame rise in me. And even now I lie awake, knowing history has its eyes on me. History. History has its eyes on me. History. Let me tell you what I wish I know when I was young and dreamed of glory. And no, nobody had control. Who lives and who dies, tells your story. I know that we can win. I know that greatness lies in you. But remember, from here on in, history has its eyes on you. History. Oh, history has its eyes on you. History. History has its eyes on you.
Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It had tacks in it, splinters, boards torn up, places where there ain't been no carpet on the floor. Bare. All the time I've been a climbing on, reaching landings, turning corners, sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back, for I still going, son, I still climbing. Life for me ain't been no crystal stair.
Why do I feel discouraged? And why do the shadows come? And why does my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home when Jesus is my portion, the constant friend is He. His eyes are on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. His eyes are on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. So I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I'm free, and His eyes are on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. So I sing because I'm happy, and I sing because I'm watches. Yes, I know He watches. And I know He watches me.
Love doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes, and we keep loving anyway. We laugh and we cry and we break and we make our mistakes. And if there's a reason, I'm by her side. But so many have tried, then I'm willing to wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. My grandfather was a fire and brimstone preacher. But there are things that the homilies and hymns won't teach you. My mother was a genius. My father commanded respect. So when they died, they left no instructions, just a legacy to protect. Death doesn't discriminate between the sinners and the saints. It takes and it takes and it takes, and we keep living anyway. We rise and we fall, we break and we make mistakes. And if there's a reason I'm still alive, and everyone who loves me has died, I'm willing to wait for it, wait for it. I'm willing to wait for it.
I had goosebumps watching that backstage. Please give them another round of applause. I think the theme of today's event is it's going to be a tough act to follow, but it's my esteemed pleasure to welcome our next speaker, our Congress member, Dan Goldman.
Hello everyone, it's great to be here with you today. What an amazing crowd, what an amazing turnout. I want to acknowledge all of my friends from elected office, from the community, far too many to name, but we are mostly here to celebrate the inauguration of Grace Lee. I actually have known Grace long before I even began running for Congress, and in fact, the little known story is when I started thinking about running for Attorney General, I tried to recruit Grace to come work with me. She politely declined, recognizing that she had much loftier and more important things to do. But Grace has been a tremendous ally for me. She has her ear to the ground in the community. It's been really important for me to be able to have Grace as a sounding board. I see so many of you who I know are here in support of Grace, and I'm sure Grace knows every single one of you. And it's incredible that she has done that so quickly. And certainly I'm excited to be an ally with Grace as we move forward, trying to help the community. We have completely overlapping districts. My congressional district subsumes her assembly district, and we've already been working closely together, and so many of you have so many issues that both need state solutions and federal solutions. And I feel very lucky to be able to have Grace as my partner as we work through this. I also just want to acknowledge Kim and the 3 girls who are surviving much better than my children did during the congressional swearing in when they lasted about a half an hour. So you guys are doing great. But mostly, I'm just grateful and proud of Grace and very excited to work together as we go forward. So thank you all for coming, and thank you, Grace.
Next up, we have Congressmember Grace Nang.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Grace Mang, all the way from Queens. Wow, lots of Queens fans today. So incredibly honored to be here at the swearing in and inauguration for my good friend and my colleague, Assemblywoman Grace Lee. That sounds so good. You can never have too much grace in politics, right? But it's really been such a pleasure and honor getting to know Grace and getting to work with her. I'm so proud of her and her whole family, to Kim and your 3 girls, and your whole family, really. Thank you for sharing Grace with our city, state, and country. You know, Grace, I don't think I have to tell anyone in this room, is just so proactive and constantly thinking of new and more ways to help all of our communities, especially our underrepresented communities. I love working with her in an official capacity. She never stops. She's always calling for more support, more resources, more federal money, and making sure that she's doing everything she can to help her district and New York State. But what I love most about Grace is the unofficial and the personal ways that we've gotten to know each other and to work with each other. She's always the one, when I'm telling her how things are usually done, she says, why can't we do it better? Why can't we do it bigger? And I especially want to give a shout out again to her family, because as a mom myself, I know that it's not easy. And one of the best ways that I've gotten to know Grace is when we're having conversations on the phone and one of us is always like, hold on a second, let me call you right back. The kids need me. I have to do XYZ for the kids. And that just shows you what a tremendous sacrifice that Grace and her family are making to serve the people of New York State and her district. So congratulations, Grace. We are incredibly proud of you. You know, we know that you have already started, and your star will continue to rise. Proud of you. Congratulations.
It's my pleasure to introduce New York State Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie.
So good afternoon, everyone. So Grace asked me to ask all of our amazing colleagues who are still here to join me up on stage. And so we have Harvey Epstein, Chuck Levine, Tony Simone, Deborah Glick, Joanne Simon, Eddie Gibbs, John Zaccaro, Alex Boris, Rebecca Seawright, Jennifer Rajkumar, Ranice Bashat. Did I miss anybody? You're not with us anymore, Natalia. You're in the Senate. You don't count. So we are all very privileged to be here to not only congratulate Grace, but also welcome Grace into the Assembly family. Now I'm gonna tell y'all, I have probably gotten the most text messages of any Assembly member from Grace. The only difference I was gonna say is that she doesn't text me 5:30 in the morning like Rodney's does. But that just goes to show how much Grace cares about this job, how much she cares about her community. And even a couple of years ago, when she first decided to run and she had a little setback, she still decided to move forward and push forward because her community meant so much to her. And representation does matter. Having different voices at the table does matter. And so I can tell you, it's only been 2 months, but I've probably had enough conversations with Grace to last about 2 years. She is sending me many, many budget letters, but this is just goes to show you the type of person that you decided to send to the Assembly. We've had a very rough couple of years, here in New York. No place got hit harder during the pandemic, and as I go around to different places, I remind people that we've made it through the pandemic, but we're not past the pandemic, and there's so many things that we still need to take care of. And I don't think there's any better person that you could have decided to send to Albany than your amazing Assembly member, Grace Lee. I remember joking with your husband when you came up for your swearing in, and I said, "Are y'all gonna try again for a boy?" He said, "No." I said, "Even a male dog?" He said, "No." So he said he's fine being the only man in the house, and he does such a tremendous job taking care of the girls while Grace is up in Albany. So he deserves a round of applause. Grace, congratulations, welcome to Fame. Look at this, on a Sunday afternoon, look how many colleagues decided to be here with you and celebrate and look forward to working with you and getting things done for your community. Congratulations. One more time for the amazing Grace.
It's my pleasure to welcome to the stage Public Advocate Jumani Williams.
Peace and blessings, love and light, everyone. How are you doing today? Celebrating Grace Lee. I have to say, Grace, I do sympathize with your husband a little bit. I am in a household full of women, grew up in a household full of women, and even my dog is female. So I understand the plight and the pleasure of that. I at first apologize. I usually dress down, but normally I have a blazer on, and I apologize. I was with my daughter, who's in the front here. Every time there's a scheduling conflict, it's true. With my wife and I lose, and I lost this morning, so I got a little mixed up. Brad was with me, and he's here. I know he's going to be here. He had sense enough to bring a change of clothes. I completely forgot, so I apologize. But I am here to celebrate you, to celebrate your district. We are an amazing time, as Speaker Hasty has said. And by the way, there's not always everyone agreeing on all policy difference, but I want to shout out Carl Hasty for toeing the line on so many of the issues that we care about, and it's difficult to do the job that he's doing, and so I just want to say thank you for that. But we are at a moment in time, as he was pointing out, that we have amazing diversity of leadership. I think more diversity than we have ever seen in New York City and New York State, and that's an amazing thing. Grace, you are part of that. Yeah, we say hand clap. But the next part of that is, what are we going to do with it, right? That's really important to let folks know. It's not just a change in what we look like. It's not just a change to have the representation of everybody, but what are we going to do with it? And I often say, as also was pointed out, we lost hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers during the pandemic. That's horrible. And the one thing that we can do in their memory is not do the same thing we were doing before they died. Because if we were doing some things differently before that, we might not have lost as many people as we lost. And so one thing I've been trying to push as we come out of this pandemic and learn to live with it is let's do some things differently. Let's change the systems that got us in here in the first place. And that's the type of leaders that we need. And as I'm learning about Grace and the work that she's doing, I understand that she understands that is the type of thing that we must be doing. Change the dynamics that got here in the first place. And lastly, as I've been saying, I don't know if everyone understands the difficulties of being an elected official. I know you get a lot of the arrows, you're going to continue to get in, but I want the folks to know that it is difficult sometimes. The thing you know is right, the thing you know that you have to do, when you start getting the phone calls from powerful people and people who have the purse strings and they say, we don't want you to do what's right for your community, that's a hard phone call to get. What makes it easier is to know that the people that you supported you are still with you. So how many people voted for Grace Lee? How many people raised the money for Grace Lee? How many people signed a petition? My biggest thing is letting you know that it's not over. Sometimes we elect folks and we walk away. She needs to be able to turn around and know that you're still with her so she can do the right thing every single time. So congratulations again, Grace Lee. Congratulations to the community. Peace and blessings, love and light to you all. Thank you so much.
We're honored to have a poem read by Caridad de la Luz, also known as La Bruja. Ms. de la Luz is a New Yorican poet, playwright, actress, and activist who's considered one of the world's leading spoken word poets. She won an Emmy for the Legacy of Puerto Rican Poetry in 2022 and was recently named one of the top 20 Puerto Rican women everyone should know. Ms. de la Luz began her career at the New Yorican Poets Cafe on the Lower East Side and is now its executive director. So please join me in a round of applause for Caridad de la Luz.
Hello, everyone. Hi. What an honor it is to be here today. Not just representing this community, but also representing the poets. Where are the poets in the house? Future poets. Because it's never too soon and it's never too late, so don't debate or procrastinate. Just write it down like you just can't wait, because what you say just might be great. But here we are to celebrate Grace Lee, an original poem for you. We've always wanted someone to represent our district tastefully. Now we have Grace Lee to represent us so gracefully. An advancement from when women were recognized as superficial. Today we inaugurate Grace Lee as our elected official. Her jurisdiction encompasses a neighborhood that means so much to me. LES, the Lower East Side, NYC. The home of the place where I was set free, the New Yorican Poets Cafe, our temple of poetry. Amidst small businesses barely surviving because rents are rising, Grace Lee's dedication goes beyond sensationalizing. For children and public housing, she's done community organizing, holding accountable private developers, purposely gentrifying. She is no stranger to caring for others. She's not only a woman, but a mother. The first Korean American woman to become a member of the New York State Assembly. A shining example of what an American dream can truly be. Grace Lee shows how we can make change through our speech, time and time again, through her caring community outreach. Her impact has been felt from Water Street to Forsyth. When opponents had limited views, she had the foresight to face all the challenges with humility and grace, ensuring the disposal of mercury waste. Defending tenants' rights for the deaf when few cared about the hearing impaired, Grace Lee has been there, making sure their treatment was fair. And to fight for quality of life, better housing, and the next generation, may her political career be filled with many more victories worthy of celebration. Congratulations. Thank you.
Next up is Controller Brad Lander.
Let's hear it one more time for Kari Dodd and that great, beautiful poem and all the poets in the room. Wow, what an amazing and full room to celebrate the inauguration of Assemblymember Grace Lee. Can I just see, if you knocked doors or made phone calls for Grace, will you raise your hand? That's a lot of folks. If you donated and helped Grace get to office that way, raise your hand. If you worked with her before she even started running for office on some of those campaigns she was doing, fighting for families, let's hear for those people. And if you've already reached out to and worked with her in the short time since she's been in office, will you raise your hand so we can see you? Speaker Hasty, I see why you're getting those texts. She's got a lot of amazing people who have her back. Also wonderful to see her beautiful family. I noticed that the state comptroller was a little shy to engage in the conversation about the good looks of her husband, Kim. But I say we'll do an audit of who has the best looking husband in the assembly. And I was also so delighted to hear my friend, Attorney General Tish James, remind you to respect date night, which is one of my favorite parts of the inaugurations. About 125 years ago, the philosopher of public education, John Dewey, wrote, "What the best and wisest parent wants for his own child," he had a little growing to do, John Dewey, "that must the community want for all its children. Any other ideal for our schools is narrow and unlovely, and acted upon, it destroys our democracy. What the best and wisest parent wants for her own children, that must the community want for all its children." I really think that's like a kind of motto for who Grace Lee is and what she's about and what she's trying to build. There's sometimes an idea that you can either have the kind of excellence that the best and wisest parent wants for her own children, or you could have equality where everybody gets something that they need. And what Grace is passionate about and going to be fighting for and working hard to make true in this community is we will not let those things get separated. What the best and wisest parent wants, fighting for every kid to have that is the way forward to build inclusive multiracial democracy. That's why you elected Grace Lee to be your assembly member, and you can see that's what she's fighting for every day. And the same goes in how she fights for her community as well. Obviously, Grace is going to stand up for the Asian American community, fight against hate crimes, demand representation and recognition, but she also knows the only way that her community can be safe is when all communities are safe. What we want is to fight for our kids, for our community. The way to win that is to make sure that everybody has the safety, the public education, and the communities that we all need and all deserve. Grace, thank you for paving the way, for showing us that is possible. We are so proud to have you back and so excited to see how you are going to fight for your family and all families, for your community and all communities. One more time, join me in congratulating Assemblymember Grace Lee. Thank you all so much.
Next up is our State Senator Brian Cavanaugh.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here today. It's great to see so many community leaders and leaders from our city and state and federal governments and Grace's wonderful family. I was a little nervous when Congressman Goldman was up here and he mentioned that his family, his children lasted about a half hour. I don't think we were supposed to let on that it's actually possible for the family to leave before the end of the program. So thank you all for sticking it out. So much has been already said already about Grace's service locally, which began, of course, before she was an assembly member working on housing stability, working to make sure, particularly on the tremendous work at 250 Water Street, to make sure that people were not exposed to the toxins there, and to organize the community around that. And it's been, I and many of others have had a great opportunity to work with her before she became assembly member. But I want to talk particularly today about the work she's already doing in Albany, because all of that tenacity and all of that commitment to local issues are very important, no matter what your role is. But the role of an elected official going to Albany and representing a community like ours is a very particular one and a very special one. And I had an opportunity to spend 11 years working in the Assembly. This is my 17th year in Albany. I had the great pleasure of serving under the great leadership of Carl Hastie as the Speaker in my latter years in Albany. And so I've had a lot of opportunity to see Assembly members arrive in Albany. Some of them have departed Albany by the end of their tenure. But I have never seen anyone who is more able to take the role of community advocate and community leader and organizer and bring it to the halls of Albany so quickly and make a real difference. She's already developing a reputation as an organizer, as someone who has not just the tenacity, but the humility to go and build the relationships necessary to get the big things that we need in our community done. She is developing a reputation for honesty and for really telling it like it is and really doing the work. So it's a great pleasure to serve with her. It's a great honor to serve with you, Grace. Really, our community can expect very big things because we're so well represented. And again, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you all today. I think John Blue, our Senate colleague, is going to come out for a few minutes on it as well.
We let Senator Kavanaugh go first because, well, it is his district, and because he's older. Old guys go first, right? What an exciting day it is today. Grace, she texted me the other day. She said, I'm getting sworn in. I'm like, what? She's been so busy. I feel like she hasn't been in Albany for 2 months. She's been there for like 20 years now. Every day is something else from Grace Lee. She is fighting so hard. And so I guess I'm very proud to be part of the swear-in. And since the big guy is not here, I'm gonna talk about what a great day it is. It's a great day for 4 reasons. It's a great day for Grace. She worked so hard. She went all throughout the district. She met everybody here. She got here the old-fashioned way. It's a great day for Grace's family. It's not easy being in elective office. You miss birthdays sometimes. Con Ed's calling. But there's one distinguished gentleman, one day talking to a man, and his wife, Iris, was pulling his coattails. He said, honey, what are you doing? She said, don't you remember? That man insulted you 15 years ago. So your family is always with you, Grace. It's a great day for the community. The community, there's so many issues here. But every November, people line up in quiet dignity, cast their ballots, and the day after, no matter who won, they respect that democracy. We're certainly respecting that democracy here by swearing Grace in. And lastly, it's a great day for the United States of America. I heard Gail. There was this one day Ben Franklin was sitting in a coffee shop outside Philadelphia. It wasn't Starbucks back then, I think it was Gregory's. And a leading lady of Philadelphia walked in and she said, what have you gentlemen done in there? And Ben Franklin responded, we have created a republic. If you can keep it. What did he mean by that? Well, bottom line is, back then they were afraid of electing scoundrels. They called them that back then. They still call them scoundrels today. But we have elected somebody who's certainly no scoundrel. Grace Lee is among the best that you could have possibly elected here. And so what can I say? I'm so proud to join her in Albany. She's been doing the people's work. Senator Kavanaugh mentioned some of the stuff already. I'm proud to see an Asian American, another Asian American get elected. We have a lot of firsts here. It is it's Women's History Month. And we heard from Grace Meng, the first Asian, happened to be a woman, elected to Congress from New York. We have Senator Ewen Chu, the first Asian American woman elected to the state Senate. And, I'm Asian too. I've been Asian my whole life. And Grace Lee has been up there fighting to make sure Lunar New Year's is legislated as a holiday, as a school holiday. And she's been leading the fight to make sure we have a budget allocation of historic proportions to help protect everybody in the Asian American community and make us less vulnerable to this incredible hate that we have seen these last few years. So, Grace, you know how much we all love you. She didn't get here easily, but she's here, and we are all the better for it. Thank you so much.
So don't tell Chuck Schumer about that speech if he arrives. And I also just want to acknowledge Natalia Fernandez, one of our other great Senate colleagues, is with us here today. Thank you.
Next, we want to take a moment to acknowledge our Democratic Party leadership. So if I could just ask for fellow district leaders, if you could please stand.
We'd love to give a round of applause of our district leaders who are with us, including District Leader Daisy Paez, District Leader Paul Newell, District Leader Caroline Lasco. I'd also like our State Committee Member Josh Goodman to stand. Thank you.
All right, and next up, I'd like to introduce our council member, Christopher Martin.
How's everyone doing? Come on, I know it's been some time now, but let me get more energy. How's everyone doing? How do you test the character of an individual? It's typically at their lowest moment. When Grace first ran, she lost. Many other people, and we've seen it before, they just get up and leave, decide to go do something else, stay home. But the next day, Grace said, I want to keep on fighting. That shows real character in leadership. And it wasn't just going to the big rallies or the press conference or the photo ops for Instagram on Facebook. Grace showed up when no one was watching. With the deaf tenants in Forsyth, she just not showed up for the press conference when they were going to get the repairs that they needed. 3 weeks before that, she door knocked every single apartment and told them that they can organize to push back against their landlord. When some of them didn't open, she went the next day, left a note underneath their door and said, meet me in the backyard and let's just meet as tenants and organize together. And the day after that, when some of the tenants didn't come up, she hired an interpreter, our guy Renee, to show up and help her communicate to these tenants. When we heard from the city that they were going to move forward and try to put up walls around the Chinatown jail, Grace was there at 5:45 in the morning, ready to protest. The next day, she was there at 6 a.m. The day after that, she again, 6 a.m. A week and a half later, she laid on the ground and didn't get up until the NYPD arrested her. Down in the Seaport, when the city was colluding with developers and the landmarks division in the city to organize to build a massive development in a brownfield cleanup, Grace and other parents got together and looked through thousands of pages of reports and did their own analysis and proved that the city, that the developers were lying to our community. They could have just said, I'm gonna take my kid and go to another school. I can leave this community and make sure that my kids are fine. But they didn't do that. They decided to reach out to landmarks preservationists, from seniors in Southbridge, from other tenant leaders in the Smith houses, and said, let's get together and push back for every single person in our neighborhood. It wasn't easy, but Grace was there every single point of the way. From the late nights organizing in the community room at Southbridge, to door knocking in developments all around the Seaport, Grace never gave up. That's a character of a true leader. Someone that's willing to fight when no one's looking. Someone that's willing to get back up after being knocked down. Someone to say, I don't care who you are. Whether you live in public housing, whether you live in a loft on top of a skyscraper in the financial district, you are important to our district and you are important to the makeup of our city. That's who Grace Lee is. We all seen it. No one would stay in this auditorium after an hour of speeches if they haven't experienced what Grace Lee has done for them. That's why I'm here. I call Grace a friend, someone that calls me to figure out what's the next step. Someone that texts me and says, hey Chris, how can I contribute? How can I help you from Albany? Someone that's willing to show up in 3 degrees weather or 110-degree weather outside and go and flower our district. Grace is our district superwoman, super mother. And in Albany, she's going to be our superhero. So I am so honored, and I want everyone to get up and give Grace Lee a round of applause. And I'm doing double duty. I'm excited to introduce the next performance. Here in Sewell Park High School, in the heart of the Lower East Side, we have the best cheerleading group you will ever see. One thing that most people don't know is that cheerleading is not an after-school program. They don't get funding from the city, from the state, from the federal government. And so these girls had to organize their community to fundraise to not only win New York City competition, but to go down to Florida and compete in the Nationals. Yeah. And so you guys have an amazing performance coming up by the Sewell Park Cheerleaders!
Let's go! We bring the heat every time we set the mat on fire. Hard train hard, still have fun. We're just getting started. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Hello everyone, my name is Kimberly Haynes and I'm the assistant coach of the Seward Park cheerleading team. I'm also a teacher here at New Design High School at one of the schools in the building, so thank you all for being here. I want to say congratulations and also thank you to Assemblymember Grace Lee for giving us the opportunity to perform for everyone here in our home building. Thank you all, and I want to welcome you. I want to thank you for welcoming our athletes first and foremost. We're a campus team that welcomes athletes from all 5 of the schools here in the building. Our team was founded in 2016, and we're currently, and it feels like consistently, working to build more support and sustainability for our program. Our program is run by our head coach, Gianna Quintero. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today. And it's also supported by a youth movement organization called Social Skills in Motion. Right now, we are continuing to build financial stability for our team and for our athletes to ensure that they have a space year to year to just come and cheer and engage in social emotional development. If you're interested in knowing more about our program, you can reach out on our Instagram or through our GoFundMe if you want to provide a contribution or even talk to me or any of the cheerleaders after the event. So thank you all again, and thank you to Assemblymember Grace Lee for hosting us in this community that we all love.
It's really a pleasure to announce our next speaker. Please join me in welcoming Senator Chuck Schumer.
Thank you, Jonathan, and thank you, everybody. It's great to be here. And I want to thank all of the great community leaders and elected officials who came here today. I want to thank our cheerleaders from Seward Park. And first, I want to ask how many of you in this audience helped Grace get elected? You knocked on doors, talked to your friends, sent in a contribution, went to events. Raise your hands. Thank you. You are democracy at work. You are the reason we're going to preserve our democracy and not let those in Washington take it away from us. So thank you. Now, today's a great day for many reasons, but first of all for Grace, who was there a minute ago. Where is she? There, she changed her seat. Hi, Grace. Grace is a testament to the power of the American dream. She wasn't born with a silver spoon in her mouth, oh no. She's a first-generation American. She's a small business owner, a community organizer who's contributed to her community and to our city in so many domains. And Grace, as we all know, is a public servant down to her core, in the best sense of the word. You know, a lot of people get involved in politics because they want to hear their names ring out, they want a position, they want a title. But when you dig down deep and ask, what have you been doing for the community? What's your track record? A lot of those people who run for office don't have much to show. Grace is just the opposite. She's been an advocate for Lower Manhattan. She co-founded the community organization Children's First, making sure children in Lower Manhattan could grow up free from toxic chemicals. She's worked extensively with deaf tenants to stand up for their rights. She leads from the bottom up.
And that's why she's going to be such a great assembly member. And I know she will do it with real excellence. And you know that being an assembly member is not always glamorous work. You got to sit through long meetings about proposed sidewalk changes. You work with police captains about a corner that's causing trouble. You hear about noise complaints, listen to frustrations about the way a certain set of subway stops gets icy and dangerous in the cold. But that, my friends, is the work that makes up a democracy. And people like Grace, dedicated, tenacious public servants, willing to apply her formidable intellect to solving problems that improve lives, are the drivers of that democracy. Grace has sat through those long community board meetings that run over on a late, cold weekend. She has sat with the elders afraid to walk down the streets. She's helped navigate constituents through endless grinding bureaucracy to make sure they get a license they need to start a business. Grace is exactly the kind of public servant we need. No one came out of nowhere and plucked her up and put her down in this office. Oh no. Grace got here the old-fashioned way, as we say in Brooklyn. She earned it. Second, it's a great day for Grace's family, her husband Kim, her daughters, Charlotte. Hi, Charlotte. Francis. Hi, Francis. Where's Lenny? Ah, Lenny's asleep. My speech isn't giving Lenny much energy. But we all know how important our families are as elected officials. They have to put up with us and all of our long hours. And they always have our backs. I like to tell two little stories about family. The first is, I was at my daughter's 5-year-old birthday party, and a pastor from a local church called up. He said, I have 300 seniors outside the church. They're ready to go inside and see the Easter pageant. But Con Ed has locked the door. The Con Ed man came and said, we didn't pay our electric bill. We paid it. I have the bill. Get over here. Congressman, I was then congressman. I went over. I spent 2 hours arguing with the Con Ed man. He opened up the church. The senior citizens got to see the Easter pageant, but I missed my daughter's 5th birthday. She's now 32, and she reminds me of it every day. And second, our families always have our backs. I was talking to a gentleman a while back, and my wife, as I'm talking to him, was pulling on my suit jacket. She's pulling away. I said, what are you doing, my dear? She says, don't you, I didn't sort of remember who this guy was. She said, don't you remember him? He insulted you 15 years ago. So folks, it's a great day for Grace's family as well. It's also a great day for the people of this great District of 65. There's no question, we know how challenging the last 3 years have been. The worst public health crisis since the Spanish flu, the worst economic crisis in the Great Depression. We remember those dark days, the streets were empty. At night you'd be woken up by ambulance sirens, and you'd wonder who it was. You'd hear from small businesses ready to shut down, people who had lost their jobs, people who couldn't get to work because the subways and buses weren't working. It was difficult times. I worked very hard to bring billions of dollars to New York to reopen everything, and there's still some of that money left for the 65th CD. Guess what? There's nobody better than Grace to see that that money goes to where it should go, to the people who need it the best. And of course, she is so good at so many things. Under the Senate, we just passed something called the CHIPS and Science Act. It's going to create money to train young people to do the new kind of high-tech jobs that we need in New York and America. Again, there's nobody better than Grace to make sure that the kids get that money and are well trained. We got money for the bipartisan infrastructure bill to increase accessibility and new transit options. Who can do that best? Our new assemblyman. So it's just terrific that Grace Lee is going to be the new assemblyman for this 65th district. And one other thing. We all are afraid of the anti-Asian violence. We despise it that has occurred.
Well, I worked to pass in the Senate and then the House the Asian Anti-Violence Act. There are now federal prosecutors who are set up in Washington who will go after those who commit violence against Asian Americans. Guess who will make sure that the people in this district are prosecuted? Assemblymember Grace Lee. So it's a great day for this district, and finally, folks, it's a great day for the United States of America. This afternoon is a great day for the U.S., and let me explain why. We all know what we do on cold November nights. We line up on election night, it's cold, you want to get home, put food on the table for your kids, sit in your favorite chair, watch your favorite TV show, but we line up in quiet dignity. We go into the polling place, we vote for who we want, and then the next morning, until recently, we all have abided by that result. That's the wellspring of the democracy. But now there are people in Washington and throughout America who want to overturn that democracy, who want to spread the big lie that this wasn't a fair election. How do we deal with that? We must fight them because we love this democracy. It allowed Grace to advance. It allowed me, the son of an exterminator who didn't go to college, to become the majority leader of the United States of America. Well, I'd like to conclude. How do we deal with that? There are a lot of ways. But I'd like to conclude by telling a little story about Benjamin Franklin, which some of my elected friends have heard, but you haven't. And I want you to hear it. And that is this. Benjamin Franklin was seated at a coffee house right after they wrote the Constitution in Philadelphia. And one of the leading matrons of Philadelphia went over to him, and she said, "Dr. Franklin, what have you gentlemen created in that building over there?" And she pointed to Constitution Hall. He rifled back at her, "Madam, we have created a republic, if you can keep it." Now, what did he mean by that? What did he mean by that? Well, there was certainly a lot of things wrong with this republic. In those days, in New York and most states, you had to be a white, male, Protestant property owner to vote. How many of you could have voted then? Raise your hands. There's a young boy raising his hand. He's got 7. But he doesn't look like a white male Protestant property owner, but who knows? But no, what were the 2 things the Founding Fathers were most worried about? Here's what they were. This is what the historians tell us. First, they were worried about who would participate in this grand experiment, the democracy. They knew we were all busy with our jobs, with our families, with the ups and downs in life that God visits on every one of us. Would people even bother to get involved and participate in this democracy? And second, they worried about who would run for office. They were worried that the people who would run for office would put themselves ahead of the community. They were in it for money or for power or for ego. In those days, they called them scoundrels. We still call them that today. Well, look at this beautiful Seward Park auditorium. By the way, I played basketball for Madison High School. We used to play Seward Park all the time. You always beat us. Our motto at Madison High School's basketball team was, "We may be small, but we're slow." But in any case, look at this beautiful auditorium this afternoon. It is filled to the brims on a cold Sunday afternoon in early March with people participating in this democracy, whether it was in Grace's election, or whether you're in a community organization, or a neighborhood organization, or a school board, or a church organization, or anything else. Oh yes, the people are participating. And look who we put in office. Certainly not a scoundrel, not even someone who's just okay, but one of our very, very best. Grace Lee. And so folks, Benjamin Franklin were looking down on this auditorium, he'd smile. This is the democracy the Founding Fathers wanted, if, folks, we fight to keep it, and I know we will. So, God bless Grace, God bless her family, God bless this great Assembly District, and God bless the United States of America. Our democracy will prevail. Thank you.
Next up is District Attorney Alvin Bragg.
Always a challenge to follow the majority leader, but it is humbling to be here as Grace and the majority leader, just in their presence, phenomenal public servants. So I've known Grace from afar for years, and you've heard it, most of it said already, but I just tick off the highlights. You know, standing up for climate change, fighting against those who would push back and deny science, standing with and standing up for tenants, and then during the pandemic, feeding those in need. And so seeing that from afar and really with great respect and admiration for years, it was phenomenal to welcome her into office and sit down and join her recently for a coffee where we talked about our shared vision for both public safety and fairness for this district. And a centerpiece of that discussion, and I want to just focus on this issue, is hate crimes. So as district attorney, this has been an issue that's been of phenomenal importance to me personally. We've seen the rate rise in AAPI hate. We've seen our prosecutions in the office go up 20%. We've seen our staff expand from 3 to 20 trained on the statutes. And then to sit down with Grace and have her say, we're going to partner and follow her lead in the Assembly on the things that we can't yet do because of the limits of the statute. And that, to me, sitting there with our staff at the ready, with having outreach and listen to this community, but knowing that we need additional tools from Albany, and Grace looking at me, extending a hand of partnership and saying she's going to lead the way. And so Grace, I'm here just to say today, you lead and I will follow. Thank you.
Our next and final performance before the swearing in is a traditional Chinese fan dance performed by Loving Care Music and Dance Group. Loving Care Music and Dance Group was founded in 2014 by a group of Asian women from Chinatown. Over the last 9 years, the group has performed over 100 traditional Chinese folk performances across all 5 boroughs of New York City. Besides enriching the cultural fabric of the Big Apple through song and dance, the group also volunteers their time and energy to many community events, fundraisers, and nonprofit organizations. Please welcome to the stage American Loving Care Association Dance Group.
Before we continue on to the next speaker, I want to take a moment to thank a few people, starting with all of the Lower East Side TA and resident NYCHA leadership. Thank you for being here. We'd also like to thank Elaine Pham and Jenny Lowe from the Governor's Office, all of the city council members who were able to join us, the Seward Park High School, of course, for hosting their phenomenal AV club, who's running all the tech on stage, the security guards who are here, Teresa, the custodian, all of the volunteers and interns on Grace's team, and of course all of you for being here.
All right, and now it's my pleasure to introduce the current council member, also former Manhattan Borough President and mentor to Assemblymember Lee. Please welcome Gail Brewer.
So I'm Gail Brewer, and I am a council member for the Upper West Side. But I am here to do something very special, which is to swear in your Assembly Member, Grace Lee. So I'm going to swear her in. I'm going to say a few remarks to echo others how great she is, and then she's going to give her amazing remarks. So Grace, please raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Grace Lee, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of New York.
And the Constitution of the State of New York.
And that I will faithfully discharge.
That I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office of the New York State Assembly, District 65.
The duties of the office of the New York State Assembly, District 65.
And then I threw in Chinatown, the Financial District, Battery Park City, and the Lower East Side.
Chinatown, Financial District, Battery Park City, and the Lower East Side.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Assemblymember Grace Lee. So I'm just going to say a few words because you need to hear from the amazing Assembly member. I just want to say I'm in office for a long time. But the last time I ran for the city council, I always get everything done late. And so when I ran in 2021, after having been borough president and the council member in the past, I was really fortunate, and this is how I know Grace Lee, to, along with Trip Yang Strategies and Samantha Day, they helped me get from petitions to victory. She brings, as you know, a wealth of skills to the business of politics, it is a business, and the work of government. I know many of you have already started working with Grace Lee, and so you know how intelligent she is. She's steadfast, and she's committed to very strong values and the people who need help. Let me give you a story. Recently, I was at an event in the village, and on the street, all of a sudden popped up Grace Lee, and she pulled out of her pocket, who else does this? Legislation that she had been reading, and everything important was underlined in yellow. She had questions to ask me. I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. But across the street, by chance, was Senator Brian Kavanaugh. And I said to her, go ask him. These are some of the two best legislators in Albany, and I know in the back of his pocket was legislation underlined in yellow. You're very fortunate. The fact that Grace has analyzed the emergency rental assistance program and all the dollars that are owed to residents of NYCHA and subsidized housing. And she's done so for every friggin' assembly district in the state of New York. She knows that residents own $369 million, and she has all the assembly districts memorized. Lots of her colleagues have signed on, and now she has me doing the same damn thing in the city council. This is a person, because of her amazing history, which you have heard, co-founder of a business, worked in politics. Her bachelor's is from Columbia University and her MBA from the University of Chicago School of Business. Longtime Lower Manhattan resident, fabulous family and children. I congratulate Grace Lee on her successful campaign. I thank her for her cheer. She's always cheerful. Her responsiveness, her ability to get done whatever task is in front of her. And I know that her constituents, all of you, and I don't like a lot of politicians, I'll tell you that right now, but I love Grace Lee. And you will find this representative will address your concerns and your neighbors' concerns. And in today's nearly, but not really, post-pandemic world, Grace Lee is the right person for the job. I give you your assembly member, Grace Lee.
Thank you so much. I guess you guys really do like me, more than voting for me, because you stayed this entire time to hear me speak. I want to thank Gail Brewer, our forever Manhattan Borough President. So I'm going to give her a round of applause again. She's an incredible mentor and someone I really look up to and aspire to be as an elected official, and I'm just really honored that she was here today to swear me in. So, I've got a couple more thank yous before I have my remarks. I want to thank Jonathan Garnhire and Vic Lee, who've done an incredible job leading and emceeing this event. Both Vic and Jonathan have done so much for this community, and we are so lucky to have them as district leaders. And I want to in particular bring up Jonathan for a minute. He's this is his last term. He's decided not to run for re-election. But I just wanted to thank him so much for his service. Jonathan was the first, or the youngest resident of public housing to ever serve as a tenant association leader. I mean, he got his start very early advocating for the community. And I don't know if many know, but he's obviously the coolest dressed person here. I try to keep up with him, I try. But you know, he is also a really talented artist and has made a name for himself in the art world. And you know, it's just an incredible story that he has, and we're just so proud and lucky to have you, so thank you. And then Vic Lee is here, and if you could come out for a minute, if you know, she's a co-founder of Welcome to Chinatown, you know, really addressing needs that our community needed during the pandemic, and has just expanded her efforts to help small businesses throughout Chinatown, and has just infused our community with new young energy and really incredible, exciting entrepreneurial ideas to help us see our future, the future of Chinatown, you know, continue for decades to come. So I want to thank her also for all of her service. And of course, I want to thank all of you for coming today. This is very overwhelming. It's been incredible to see all of you. I want to also thank my staff, Samantha Day, my campaign manager, now my chief of staff, Kenyelle Hernandez, Fanny Ip, they're all hanging out in the back right now. You're not even paying attention to me anymore. This is how it is. Can you guys stand up? Stand up. Kenyelle, Fanny, stand up. Okay. They're the people who keep my office running. And Vera, Lee, you know, thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you to my parents who came to this country to give me a better life and have supported me through all my goals. They're here today with me and the rest of my family. Thank you to Kim. He's okay looking. He's okay. Who encouraged me to run for office and has made sure that he's home every night to put our kids down so that I can do the work for this district. And finally, to Charlotte, Francis, and Lenny, I just want to thank them also. It's not easy having a mom like me. I don't come home every night. I don't get to pick them up from school, bake cookies for them, and do all those things that moms do, but there's a lot of mom guilt when you do these jobs, and when you know it's the right thing to do, and you know it's for their future. So I just want to thank them for understanding. Sorry, I didn't mean to cry. Wasn't planning to do that. So I've been thinking a lot about what it means to be a New Yorker. And like many of you in this room, I was not born here. I grew up in Ohio, where there weren't many people who looked like me, and there weren't many spaces where I really belonged to. I came to New York not just for its promise and its opportunity, but for its diversity. I was looking for a home where I could really call home, and that's what New York has been to me. I got a college education here, I built a career and a family here, I found a community here, and I found my calling to serve here. And today, as the daughter of immigrants, I get to represent the same seat that one of the founding fathers of our country, Alexander Hamilton, once did. That is the magic and possibility of New York. Whether we come from Ohio, or Puerto Rico, or Hong Kong, the city has always drawn outsiders looking for opportunity and identity and belonging. Look around this room at who's here today. The 65th District is one of the most richly diverse communities and districts across all of Manhattan. And it's reflected in our neighborhoods, from Chinatown to Little Italy, to Fidei, to Soho, to the Lower East Side. The eclectic mix of people and experience is our beauty and our strength. But of course, it's not perfect. We still see the legacy of centuries of systemic inequality in our communities. This city and this district were built on a history of oppression. This is a district where the Dutch stole the land from the Lenape. This is the district where at Wall Street and Pearl, Africans were bought and sold into slavery. And this is the district where Italian, Chinese, and Jewish immigrants found a home, but face persistent persecution and discrimination even to this day. But history has also shown us what good can come from a district and its people. We have a history of helping others in our district. Here on the Lower East Side was the first American settlement house, University Settlement, founded right here. That compassion and grit and desire to build something for ourselves, to demand better for ourselves, is what makes New York so special. And it's something that we still see evident here every single day. I see it on Forsyth Street, where I work with tenants who are holding their building management accountable for deplorable living conditions. I see it in Chinatown, where residents are fighting against a skyscraper jail. And I see it in tenant leaders in our NYS developments demanding dignity in their housing. I see it in every single one of you who are here today, who show up every day because you believe in a better future. Thank you for believing in me, for entrusting me with your voice in Albany. You will see my commitment in my work, for my fight for NYS residents, for a more just criminal justice system, for community safety, for better funding for our schools, and for support for our small businesses. But none of us can do this work alone. And so I ask today that we commit ourselves today to support each other across communities, across neighborhoods, so that we can harness our collective power to make New York a better place. Working together, I am confident that we can make New York a New York where every family can thrive and every person can find a place where they belong. Thank you.